Hello there. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the SATS Show. Wow, that's loud. Hope everybody's doing great. Today is Tuesday, and it's the day before this ETF allegedly gets approved, right? People are saying that it might get approved tomorrow and start trading on Thursday. It's wild, okay? In this episode, we're going to talk about why you shouldn't buy the ETF, right? What you should do instead is buy Bitcoin now and front run the institutions that are going to be coming to acquire Bitcoin once they're allowed to, once their rules are in place for them to purchase Bitcoin. Then the pump begins, the mega pump, right? Because they're not just going to come in and buy Bitcoin, a little bit of Bitcoin like average people like us do. They're going to go in there and buy Bitcoin hand over fist. And they got big hands, right? And they're going to keep buying it until they meet their quota of it. And as they continue to sell it and they continue to promote it, and their customers start to see the benefits of it and the returns on that, and the institutions start to see the fees they're able to collect because of the returns on their Bitcoin ETF. It's like a self-fulfilling. It's like a vicious cycle, right? They see the gains from it. The customers see the gains from it. So they're gonna keep pushing it until more and more and more of their customers' portfolios are in Bitcoin, and that's how it begins. That's how the price gets out of control. That's how the price goes crazy. And yes, people are saying, "Oh, but buy the rumor, sell the news." Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, it might dip for a little bit. We're not traders. We're accumulators. We're savers. We're stackers. We're saving in Bitcoin to shield ourselves from inflation. What up, Leonard? Round of applause for Leonard in the chat. What up? Hey, we're still down for today, dude. I already got the okay. And right after the show, I'll be heading out if it still works for you. All right. So let's get the show started with a little. So that's what we're going to talk about in the Why We Stack segment. I'll give you a little preview. But for now, let's jump into the SATS strength. All right. What is the price of Bitcoin today? Of course, it's near a high because whenever we do the show, it's near a high. $46,764 is the price of Bitcoin right now. And you can buy 2,138 Satoshis for a single dollar. What is a Satoshi? A Satoshi is a fraction of a Bitcoin. Just like a dollar has 100 cents, a Bitcoin has 100 million Satoshis. So as you stack Satoshis, you're actually buying fractions of a Bitcoin, okay? We just call them Satoshis for short, or call them SATS for short, okay? Anyway, Hard Huddle in the house. Is this financial advice? Absolutely for entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice. You should do your own research. Read all the books. Listen to all the podcasts. Learn how the money system works that steals from you, and then you can decide whether saving in Bitcoin is a good idea for you or not. Okay, it's on you, baby. I'm just here to give you to put the idea in your head, and if the idea makes you want to go research it, then that's great. Mick, I'm in the house. What up? It's been a while. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good. Hope you had a good holiday season and Happy New Year. You're coming back recently. All right. So let's, that is the SATS strength. If you're walking down the street, minding your own business, you look down, you see a penny, you pick it up, and all the day you'll have 21 Satoshis. Okay? Right now, a penny's going to get you 21 Satoshis. No longer 39 Satoshis like we were able to get before. Wah. Right? But you get what you get. Okay? If you decided now to start saving in Bitcoin, still, you're in a good spot. I still think you're in a good spot. But will you be in a good spot tomorrow? I don't know. Will you go to bed today and wake up a millionaire? I don't know. Right? I probably won't go. I say it probably won't go to $1 million overnight. But if you're holding, let's say it goes to, let's say you've accumulated. Let's talk about why we stack, guys. Let's talk about why we stack right now. Shoot, before I start going off topic. Why we stack. Especially right now, you should be stacking in truckloads. Not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing. You stack right now because, especially today, it's from what I've been seeing, what the experts are saying, 95% certainty that the ETFs for 11 different companies with a whole ton of liquidity get approved. And that means they can start buying Bitcoin on Thursday. Okay? Johnny Midas in the house. Let's go. Welcome back, Johnny Midas. Round of applause from the live studio audience for Johnny. Yeah, so just think of it. The volume of demand that's going to come in when these ETFs get approved, if they get approved, always a caveat, it's going to be like if you had been accumulating Bitcoin and waiting for 2 or 3 halvings, maybe even more worth of supply shock, right? So in order for the price of something to go up or down, you have to take into account the supply, availability, and the price, right? So supply, the demand gives you the price. So if the demand for Bitcoin climbs, and it will if these ETFs get approved, and it goes up, and somebody decides to take profits, like when it hits 50,000 or 60,000 or 70,000 or new all-time high, 70,000, and somebody decides to take profit, that's fine. They're just selling their Bitcoin to these companies, to BlackRock and to Fidelity, right? Don't do that. It's going to be tempting, okay? Think of it now. Think what you're going to do now when Bitcoin hits 70,000 and we're at a new all-time high for Bitcoin. Are you going to sell? Because there might be a pullback down to like 50 maybe, or I don't know how far the pullback will be. But that pullback would just be from people selling some of their Bitcoin to get a little to pocket a little bit of the profits. But what are they really pocketing, right? They're taking the best asset they could own, and they're taking some of that value out of it and putting it back into the sinking ship, putting it back into melting ice cubes. So you wouldn't want to do that, right? Stick with it, hodl your stash, don't ever sell it, because down the road it's going to be so expensive, it's going to be so valuable that you'll be able to take loans against it and just live off of those loans, right? And when you take out loans when you take out loans, that's debt, and debt's not taxable, right? So instead of selling your Bitcoin, creating a taxable event, and then paying taxes on that, and then also having to spend your Bitcoin, not having it anymore, you're gonna lose, right? That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is how the rich people do it. They get assets that are valuable, and they take loans against those assets, and those assets continue to appreciate, and it's like a circle of value that we never experienced before as common people, right? Because we don't have a bunch of properties, right? So anyway, that is why we stack, okay? Especially now, you want to front run these institutions, okay? Whatever Bitcoin you're holding now, right? Even though we're looking at the strength of the Satoshi, right? And we're saying, oh yeah, 2,141 SATS for a single dollar. Yeah, right. We'll see what that's going to be once these institutions get approved. What up, Brian? Brian in the house. Brian likes to fish. Round of applause from a live studio audience for Brian. What up, broski? Good to see you in here. Dude, 2,141 Satoshis for a single dollar. Back in May, we were able to get about 3,900 Satoshis for a single dollar. Okay, so the price, the price of Bitcoin is certainly appreciated. So that means that the dollars that you need more weaker dollars to purchase the same stuff that you had in the past. Okay, let's jump real quick into this little chart that I'd like to show you guys. Right, I call it my SATS to goods chart, or AKA the burrito index. And in the burrito index, I track some of the things that I buy often, right? I buy milk often. I buy burritos often. Sometimes bread. I thought I bought more bread, but I don't buy that much bread. Anyway, burrito index. Okay, look at my burrito index today. Okay, this is important to note because it's telling you that when you save in Bitcoin, the value that you're saving in Bitcoin over time is increasing your purchasing power. Okay, and what is wealth but purchasing power, right? So the more purchasing power you have, the yeah, perfect, Brian. He should be. He should be. That's fantastic. That's awesome news. Round of applause from the live studio audience for Brian and Brian's son. Excellent. Yeah, dude. It's such a way to multiply your effort because you're already putting in the work. You already did all the hard work of learning a trade, going to school, getting a job, showing up on time, and giving up your lifetime to work at this job, right? For money that in the back end is melting, right? Or what you do is you do the same thing and you cut the last part of the equation out, and you store your value that you worked so hard for in money that appreciates instead of money that depreciates, right? So here we go. So for example, and I apologize for some of you guys that already saw this chart, but burrito index, beans, cheese, sour cream, and carne asada is the way to go. Is the way I like my burritos. $13.70 is how much it costs. I've been buying that burrito over time and tracking based on the price of Bitcoin. How many satoshis am I paying for that burrito? Right. So back in October 3rd was when I first started tracking it. I was paying 49,603 satoshis for my burrito. Right. On the 7th, which is the last time I bought it, I paid 31,309 satoshis, right? So it's a significant discount, right, over the span of like 2-3 months. 3 months, right? Yeah, about 3 months. Same thing with milk. I guess I buy milk more frequently than burritos. But milk, okay, it cost me back in October 25,509 satoshis. And today, not today, but on the 5th, it cost me 15,975 satoshis. And today, if I went and bought it, it'd be under 15,000 satoshis, right? I updated the sheet to include the current price in satoshis of these goods based on the average price. So, for example, bread is now very well below 10,000 satoshis. It's in the quadruple digits, right? It went from 5 digits to 4 digits. Right. And this is an example that shows you that as you save in Bitcoin, everything else you do in your life that requires you to exchange value for or money for is going to get cheaper over time if you're saving in Bitcoin. That's the whole catch. Right. And it's that easy. It's that easy. You're saving your value in Bitcoin. Its purchasing power is increasing. And as the purchasing power of your Bitcoin increases, the things you have to pay for in fiat get cheaper, right? So as other people are struggling to make payments and sustain the quality of life that they're used to living, you're going to be styling because your wealth is actually increasing in value and the things are actually getting cheaper for you, right? It's such a mind flip, right? And it's really hard to see it because it's so gradual, and that's kind of the way it's built in. They want to hit that 2% inflation rate because they don't want you to feel the pain, right? Now they're way above 2% inflation. So people are kind of starting to understand, starting to wake up to the matrix that is the fiat system, the dollar system that steals from you, right? So now that you're kind of awoke, now that you've awakened to the beauty of Bitcoin and and that it's a way to get out of your fiat slavery job, which we talked about yesterday, right? Take all this into consideration and let's factor in the ETF approvals. Okay, so before we even factor in the ETF approvals, let's factor in the Bitcoin halving. What the heck is the Bitcoin halving? Every 4 years, the rate at which so we have Bitcoin. There's 21 million Bitcoin, right? About 95% of that Bitcoin has already been released into circulation. Okay. 5%, about 5% of it is going to get released over the next 130 years or something like that. Okay. So what happens is, how does that Bitcoin get released into the system? Well, it gets released via the miners and the coin-based reward that the miners earn for mining the next block. Okay. I know it's a little complicated, but stick with me. The whole point is that every 4 years, Bitcoin has something that's programmed into the system where the miners get half of the rewards they were getting the 4 years before that. Okay, so right now a miner's Coinbase reward is 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. There's a block available, and whoever mines that block gets 6.25 Bitcoin, which is a good chunk of money, right? It's good to be a miner. So in April of this year, so like pretty soon, Bitcoin is naturally going to go through its available supply release. You're going to cut it in half basically. So instead of a miner getting 6.25 Bitcoin, they're going to get 3.125 Bitcoin for every 10 minutes. And what does that mean overall? It means that instead of 900 new Bitcoin being available, instead of 900 unreleased Bitcoin being available each day, 450 unreleased Bitcoin can be available per day. So that means that the supply shrinks the available supply shrinks in half, right? So what happens? Well, if you go back to the equation of price equals supply and demand, right? If the supply gets halved and the demand stays the same, then the price is going to go up, right? At least by half, right? But we know it doesn't go linear like that because the price of Bitcoin is priced at the edge, at the margins, right? So it's like whatever happens to be on sale, whatever the latest sale price reprices every other Bitcoin that hasn't been sold or is in storage, right? That's how it works. Okay, so that's pretty amazing, right? We're gonna have a halving this year, and we're gonna continue to have halvings every 4 years until the last reward gets halved, and mining one block is gonna be 1 Satoshi. After that, the reward is gonna be 0 Satoshis, but the miners are still gonna continue to mine because their profit is gonna come from the fees that at that point will be worth a lot more because a sat now. Can you imagine if the reward for mining a block right now is 6.25 Bitcoin and it's about it's equivalent to about, I don't know, $120,000. In the future, the reward will be 1 Satoshi. Can you imagine what? But that'll be like in the year 134, I think. 1 Satoshi will be the reward for mining the block and the fees that go along with it. That 1 Satoshi is going to be worth so much, right? And now we throw them around like it's not a big deal. But in the future, that's going to be a lot of money, okay? Because it's going to be the equivalent to the amount of energy it takes you to find and mine the next block every 10 minutes. It's wild, right? That's going to be so basically what I'm saying is every 10 minutes you're going to have 1 Satoshi released. Every 10 minutes you're going to have 1 Satoshi released. So what does that math? What does the math work out to? Let me do it real quick. So there's 60 minutes in an hour, right? So there's 60 minutes in an hour. So that's 6 times 24 hours a day, right? 144 Satoshis is going to be the release rate when we get into that many halvings in the future. We probably won't be alive by then unless we find some crazy new scientific technology that only the wealthy people can afford, and you'll be one of the wealthy people that can afford that crazy scientific technology, right? The interview I did with Adam over Bitcoin Meister, right? I asked him a question about what it would be like to give some advice to somebody in the future, like 10 years from now, right? And his answer was actually pretty surprising and really cool. He said, like, you know what? Instead of you know what, future person that in 10 years from now, if you've been stacking and you're well off, right? Instead of spending your money, your SATS on a Lamborghini, right? Spend it on the latest medical technology that's going to maybe extend your life, right? That's wild, right? That's pretty wild. Anyway, it's just an idea that came back because of the recording of the show. If you guys want to go watch that episode, it's on the channel. It's like the only video I have out so far. And I have another interview coming up with J-Dub. I already did the interview, so that's coming up maybe next week. Okay, so anyway, make sure you guys check that out. But let's go back to the main topic. So it's pretty insane. It's pretty wild that something we're doing now as seemingly insignificant can affect our lives so much in the future, right? And it's all because of the way that the monetary system is working now. It's so set up to just leech life force from people that when you find the inverse of it, which is Bitcoin, that system is working for you now, right? It's wild. Okay. All right. Let's keep it going. Let's check out Hard Hodl's question. It said, would you consider it easy to self-custody? I wouldn't consider it easy to self-custody, but neither is doing an oil change on your car, right? Like Like I would say it's about the same. Maybe doing your own oil change or maybe doing your own tune-up on a car would be about the same difficulty. What do you think? What would you guys equate to as far as difficulty level? I wouldn't say like writing an email. Writing an email, I would say is as easy as sending a transaction, right? Maybe creating or creating like a old school forum post would be equivalent to doing like a Bitcoin transaction, right? Something like that. Now setting yourself up for self custody. What's more difficult, an oil change or setting yourself up for self custody? What's more difficult, doing your own car tune up or setting yourself up for self custody? What do you guys think? I would think that it's easier, less tools to do a Bitcoin self custody. It requires a little bit more. No, you still have to do about the same amount of research, right? Like if you did the same amount of research, like if you were from scratch, never done an oil change before, you go through, you do the research to figure out how oil change works, what the tools will be that you need, right? And you actually go through the process and figure out the whole procedure and how it was supposed to work and what you're supposed to do before and after and how to get rid of the oil and all that good stuff. How many quarts of oil you need, what kind of oil do you need, all that stuff might be equivalent to the amount of work, mental work, and I guess physical work to set up self-custody, right? I don't know. I don't think self-custody is too hard, right? I think people do a lot more things that are more difficult for less rewards and for less sovereignty, right? If you can manage a fantasy football team, go through, look up all the stats, and manage your team every week before the games start, you can do self-custody, right? It's not as difficult as that, right? And there's a ton of cool walkthroughs, ton of cool videos to help you with your specific wallet and that kind of stuff. So anyway, that was a great question, Hard Huddle. Thanks for doing that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode so far. Let's jump into the I keep doing that. The stack recap. Dang it. All right. We don't only talk about Bitcoin here. We actually stack it every... What's going on here? We actually stack it every Monday through Friday, 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, 3:30 Eastern. All right, let's go to our 2024 stack. We're tracking the buys for 2024 in a new sheet. So we have, and we're also tracking the same buys on the old sheet. So we have a cumulative sheet for the whole lifespan of the show, and we have a sheet just tracking the 2024 purchases. In case you're new to the stream and you're trying to figure this out and you want to get involved, what if you're bad at fantasy football? Nice. If you're bad at fantasy football and bad at writing emails and you make mistakes and you're just not tech enough, well, no, you know enough. I'm gonna come back. This is a great question, Leonard. It's funny, but it's actually a great question. This is where you decide, okay, look, what happens if you don't know how to do an oil change or you don't want to do it? What happens if you don't want to do a tune-up or you don't know how to do a tune-up? What happens if you see a leak in your house, right? Who are you going to call, right? Are you going to try to figure it out yourself on the internet? Maybe it might be easier enough, but at a certain point, you'll be like, you know what? This is above my pay grade or below my pay grade, whichever way you want to look at it. I'd rather just pay somebody to do this for me in a safe way. That way I know it's being done right? So I'm not saying give your coins to somebody else to custody for you, but you could hire somebody to set something up for you, right? And do it in a way where your security is not compromised. Or you can even hire somebody to train you how to do it, right? And then once you know how to do it, with a sample setup, you go and do your real setup. So that the guy that taught you how to do it doesn't actually know what you did. Cool? So that's what I would recommend would be a different step, a different approach if you can't manage a fantasy football team. Let's go. And if you can't do your own oil change. All right, going back to the screen. Good question, Leonard. That was awesome. All right, so today the price of Bitcoin is $46,736.90, and our average buy price for 2024 24 is $44,550. So today, according to our stacking schedule, we're only going to buy $20 worth of Bitcoin. If the price of Bitcoin drops below our average buy price of $44,550, we usually buy a double stack. So that'd be a $40 stack. If the price were to drop below $42,856, which is our all-time lowest purchase price this year, then we'll do a quadruple stack. Yeah, quadruple stack. In the background, I'll be doing more than a quadruple stack. This might be the last time you'll receive 42,000, right? I don't know. But anyway, so today we're buying $20 worth of Bitcoin. So now there's only one thing left to do, and that is time to stack some SATS. All right. As you guys know, I like to stack over at Swan Bitcoin. If you want to stack the same way I stack here on the show, you can go to stacksatshow.com/Swan and get yourself $10 worth of free Bitcoin when you sign up through our affiliate link. And hopefully Nightbot will put the affiliate link in the chat. There he is. All right, there's a link. Technology, woohoo! Okay, let's preview this buy so we can get some stacks. Get this stack going. Oops. Preview. Take my notes here. Bam. All right, notes have been taken. Sats are about to get purchased. Let's go to the screen. Cut the music. Producer guy. Here we go. Stacking $20 worth of Bitcoin. It's going to cost us 20 cents in fees. There we go. Oh, I clicked the wrong screen. There it is. Payment initiated. Your Bitcoin is on its way. All right. And with that, you all know what's coming up next. Chill music, because now it's time to update our spreadsheet with today's buy. Woohoo! See, if I can do it while talking and running a live stream and doing the music all on my own, you can do it. Okay? Without distractions. Start doing it. Okay? I know. It seems like a lot of work. But just get into your routine and get it done. Sell the stuff you don't need. Okay? I've been selling a lot of stuff on OfferUp. OfferUp's actually going pretty good for me right now. When we moved into this house, I'm selling everything, guys. When we moved into this house had like the people that left like a little mini fridge in the garage, right? So it's a free mini fridge for me, but I've never used it. It's just been sitting there, and I don't have it plugged in. I plugged it in the other day to see if it still worked. It still works. It freezes and it gets cold where it's supposed to get cold, and it freezes where it's supposed to freeze. So it works. So I just listed that thing. I listed that thing on OfferUp instead of taking up space. I should have thrown it out, but why not? I can sell it, right? So I have some interesting buyers. So I'm even selling appliances, guys. Anything you can do to get a little bit extra sats in the future, right? When those sats are worth, close to the equivalent of the Coinbase reward for mining the next block, you're gonna look back and say, "Damn, that was the best. That was the most expensive refrigerator that person bought ever." Right? Everything you're selling, those sats are gonna continue to appreciate, and so, think of it as you're selling I sold that mini fridge for. I'm gonna sell that mini fridge for like $50, right? But in the future, I can look back and say I sold that mini fridge for like $2,000 or $3,000, right? However much it appreciates, right? So that's the way you gotta look at things. You're sitting there looking at things around your house that you don't use, right? Or maybe even services like Netflix or whatever that you don't really need, right? That you watch maybe once or twice a month or a week. Consider getting rid of that and putting that money into your DCA schedule, into your dollar cost average schedule. All right. Well, let's go back into the actual thing and do what we came to do. Here goes. Today is the 9th, the pre-ETF day. Pre-ETF buy at $46,774. We bought $20 worth of Bitcoin. Boom. And the yield was 0.000423331. All right, we're actually that's funny. We're up about $10. We're up about $10 since the beginning of the year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of buy. 7 buys. 7 buys. We're already up 4.5%. It's nothing. It's like $10. But still, it's $10. It's showing you that if we went to go buy, we're almost at 500,000 satoshis on the for 2024. If we went to go buy 493,687 satoshis today, we would have to pay $230, right? Well, we got them for $220. What does this mean? It means that you need more weaker dollars to buy the same amount of the scarcest asset you can get, which is Bitcoin. Okay, let's go to our other sheet and update the ongoing Satoshi count. Look at all those buys, dude. It's wild. Bam. All right. So that's 42,331 satoshis added to our stack, and our main stack is now at 11.4 million satoshis, almost 11.5 million satoshis. Wild. A little bit at a time. I've done nothing different with the exception of a smash buy at episode 100 to accumulate this Bitcoin, guys, right? The whole point is you get on your schedule, you choose a frequency, you choose an amount, and you commit and do it. That's it, right? It could be $10 a day. It could be $20 a week. It could be $50 to $100 plus a month, right? The more, the better, right? Even after the ETFs come out and the price surges and all that stuff happens, and you might think, oh, I missed out. I'm never going to be able to. Yeah, you won't be able to accumulate as much Bitcoin as you are able to accumulate now because the prices are so low relative to where they're going to be. But if you're watching this video in the future and ETFs are already up and Bitcoin is over 100,000 a coin, it still works the same. You still accumulate a little bit at a time, and over time, that Bitcoin will continue to get more expensive, right? Maybe not as fast as the difference between today and tomorrow, right? You might have to wait 2 or 3 halvings, so 8 to 12 years for your stack that you started after the ETF to accumulate so much purchasing power that you can do something meaningful with it, right? We're fortunate enough that we understood Bitcoin, and we took the plunge and we decided to go for it, and we did the research and we understand it enough to be able to commit whatever amount you're able to commit to it, right? And your reward is going to be front running these institutions, right? And your reward for front running these institutions might be, I don't know, $100,000 Bitcoin or more, right? Now, is that going to be life-changing wealth? Possibly. If you have more than one coin, and definitely, right? If you have less than one coin, it's still significantly better than you were before, right? Like that, right? And when you see the ETF get approved, if it does get approved, and you see the price pumping like crazy, don't get fear of losing that thing. Don't. It's not financial advice. Here's what I'm gonna do. When the price goes to the moon, I'm not gonna sell a single sat. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back here on the show tomorrow and the next day. I'm gonna continue to do exactly what I've been doing this whole time. Get on Swan, stack my stack for that day, continue with my schedule, DCA, right? Continue with your schedule. It doesn't matter, right? Am I gonna get 2,000 satoshis for $1? Nope. But I'm gonna get some satoshis, and the only number that matters in this game right now, right, is that your SAT count continues to go up. Even if it goes up a little bit slower, as long as your SAT count continues to go up, you're in the right business. You're doing the right. Okay. And ETF gets approved, huge amount of money comes in, and it's not going to be a huge amount of money and then that's it. It goes away. It's going to be a continued onslaught of new money and new capital that has never had access to Bitcoin before, just coming through and just pounding through the door and trying to buy as much Bitcoin as possible. And guess what? Most of the Bitcoin that already exists, most of the Bitcoin that's already been released is in wallets where people are not willing to sell it, kind of like my wallet, right? Diamond hands, baby. I'm never going to sell, right? So if most of the Bitcoin is in wallets where people have the same attitude that I have, which is I'm not going to ever sell it because it's the most scarce thing I can own, the scarcest thing I can own. And you guys haven't figured it out yet, but we figured it out ahead of you guys. We're holding on to that stuff forever, right? What's going to happen? Yeah, you can say, yeah, the demand is whatever the price is times 21 million or whatever, right? But it's not. It's a lot less than that. It's whatever Bitcoin happens to be on exchanges, right? It's whatever Bitcoin the miners have mined and are willing to sell and take profits from, right? Because maybe some of the miners don't even want to sell either, right? So there's a lot less available circulating supply than people think, right? Don't think there's 21 million available coins. No, there's a lot less than that, right? Maybe like in the range of, I think Matthew was in here the other day saying like there was maybe like 2 or 3 million Bitcoin available on exchanges. That's nothing. That's nothing for these people. Can you imagine these super deep pockets fighting over 2 million Bitcoin available for purchase right now on exchanges? They're going to wipe out the exchanges unless the price goes up a lot, right? And when that price goes up a lot, the Bitcoin you're holding in self-custody is the same kind of Bitcoin they're buying off the exchange. So that means that your Bitcoin is not worth as much as whatever the last person paid for it is worth, right? If that makes sense, right? So don't sell your Bitcoin. Hold on to it, diamond hands, because it's going to be the way for you to have an asset that's so valuable that you'll be able to take loans against it and live your life out. And then once you're done with living your life, or once you meet your maker, once you get ready to meet your maker, you can then take that stash of Bitcoin that you have in custody and pass it on to the next generation of your family. Or if you don't have a family to pass it on to, maybe set up a trust where that trust is going to continue the work. It's going to continue to do the work in the world that you want it to see, right? So you want to see a change in the world a certain way, whatever way you want to see the change done. You can fund that idea, and that idea can continue to be pursued in perpetuity, I guess, right? As long as that institution continues to exist based off of your holdings. It's crazy, right? It's crazy, right? Like, let's say I give up, I don't know, 0.1 Bitcoin to fund an institution that's going to fight for the rights of anglers to have ocean access, right? And that's gonna do 0.1 Bitcoin is nothing now, right? But once it gets to a certain level, that 0.1 Bitcoin is gonna be a big deal. It's gonna be able to afford a lot of staff, maybe a lot of influence, right? It's pretty wild. And so you're able to set things up for the future, right? For a future you would like to see, right? And or you could just say, you know what? Forget about the world, right? I don't have anybody I want to leave my coins to, and I don't have a cause worthy of my Bitcoin. I'm just going to donate my Bitcoin to the other people that believed in Bitcoin when I believed in Bitcoin, and go to the grave with my Bitcoin. And for the first time in the history of humanity, you have the power to take your assets with you to the next life, I guess, right? Or whatever you want to call it. To take the power to take your assets with you into the next life, or whatever you want to call it. A power that not even the strongest pharaohs in the world, right, in the history of humanity had. The strongest kings in the history of humanity, the presidents in the history of humanity, whatever you want to call it, rulers, dictators, none of those people could ever take their wealth with them to the grave, right? Even if you built a ginormous pyramid to store your gold with you to take into the afterlife, it still got ransacked, right? Either got ransacked by thieves or ransacked by scientists who put it in a museum. Either way, you don't have your gold, you don't have your stash in the afterlife, right? It's in the museum or it's in somebody's private collection, right? See, the Pharaoh should have bought Bitcoin. Anyway, it's a weird concept. I'll leave you guys with that. Let you guys ponder that for a second. You have financial immortality available to you. Stack some sats. Know what you gotta do. All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow when we're all millionaires. But until then, if you ain't stacking, you're slacking. Later.